Oh, hi everyone. I am here to record Watt's Discovery, Part 13. If you're following along, we are starting at page 319 out of 1960, and we are at page 366 on the Discovery. Um, as all you know, I'm recovering from shoulder surgery, and I'm having a sleepless night. My arm wants to move. It's been 5 days, and I'm immobilized in that side, and my body is like, nope, I want to move my arm now. I want to move my arm around like a freaking chicken. And my body is rebelling against my body wanting to move it, and it's just, I'm restless AF. Okay? So, Hubs tried to put back on the splint that has the Velcro pillows that attach to me and everything, and I just was like flailing around and, you know, hurling expletives, and I just said I'd be fine. He just needs to go to sleep. And I just waited until he was asleep and then snuck over to my office so I can just be here. Because this feels kind of good to just put it up on my desk. Problem with the splint is that it doesn't allow for the tits. Where are the tits supposed to go in a splint like this? So I can either hike them over my arm, or then my arm is over the tits and then the tits are in the gunt area, and they just don't think about splints for women and boobs. So it actually feels good for me to be able to sit up and use my left hand to, paginate. I can do this. I can read like this, but I can't like text. I'm trying to text my buddies, and I can't even text anybody. I can't text anybody to say I'm doing okay or I'm not doing okay, because texting is really tough, um, because I can't do it all with my left. And then when I try with my right, I'm hitting the edges of my cell phone. You know how those edges are where it's called like edges, so then it catches and then it sends if you hit this. I guess there's all this stuff you can do with the edges, whatever, but I just want them disabled so I can freaking text and not send 19 texts trying to spell one word. So it's just a pain in the ass right now, and I'm restless. And I apparently slept through another doctor's appointment today. And my surgeon and my pain doctor are wonderful, and they went toe to toe with the insurance company. The insurance company just keeps saying, no, she can't have pain pills if she's on Suboxone. It's like, um, they explain that the Suboxone level I'm on is this, and they want me to have this and over so that I'm not in pain. And they're like, no, that goes against the pain contract. The pain doctor's like, I'm the one with the contract, I'm the one prescribing it. The surgeon is doing peer to peer with the insurance, and nothing's happening. So I figured I figured this was going to be the case, and that's why I was in so much anxiety, because I just didn't know how the pain was going to be afterwards and how to manage it. But you know what? I made it 5 days. I made it 5 days without, the bureaucracy figuring anything out, and me just dealing with the same amount of pain meds that I had prior to surgery, after surgery, which does not please me. Because as you guys know, there was a big ass shark tooth in the rotator cuff full thickness tear, and I had to have my bicep reattached. So it was a lengthy surgery. It was yucky, and I've had to be a very big girl to not break down and just scream and cry and call a bunch of people assholes, because that's what I would normally do. But this time I'm like, you know what? Whatever. I can't, because the thing is, I had my surgery on a Thursday, so that meant all the fighting with the insurance was going on Friday. And what happens with the insurance people on Saturday and Sunday? They don't work. So they expected me just to go and piss up a rope anyway, so apparently I did. And now I'm midweek and they're still fighting about it, and I'm just going, you know what? Just forget about it. But they need to figure it out before I start doing any physical therapy, because I'm not going to, oh, ouch, I'm not going to move this freaking thing without um, some pain pills. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's just our world and the pain pills, so ridiculous. And like I've explained to you guys, I've never had an addiction problem, never took one too many, nothing. I have a lot of pain generating illnesses. I don't have a pill problem, never have. But I went on Suboxone because it's a beautiful way to block out pain receptors. Now, that's great for chronic pain, but when you have acute pain from a surgery, other parts of your brain are going, help, help, help. And that's what the opioids prescribed in addition to the Suboxone are supposed to be. But because of this bureaucracy, whatever, I suffer and pisses me off. Pisses me off. When my husband had his total hip 4 years ago, he had his total hip repaired. He came back from the Gulf with Gulf War syndrome, and he had the really bad rashes. And all of the meds they gave him for that got into his joints, and he had to have massive amounts of prednisone, and that killed off the blood supply to his hip joints. So at, I guess, what was he, 49, 4 years ago? He had to have, he's supposed to have both hips done, but he just had the one done so far because he had AVN, so no blood going to the hip joint. And I was there for him when he got out of surgery, and they tried to hand him 2 Vicodin, and he's got an IV, and he just had a total hip. And I'm like, Moscosi, why are you giving him pills? There's an IV that's suitable right there. You need to be giving my husband IV pain meds. They're like, oh no, we don't do that anymore because we don't want people to get addicted. We've found that after surgery, if opioids are given by mouth, it's much better so they don't feel them IV. And I'm like, listen, he's to this point in his life. He has never had an addiction issue in his life. His body is completely narcotic naive. I was like, he deserves some pain meds for what he's been through. And if you won't listen to me, I will call the house supervisor, his surgeon, and we'll all get on the same page. And they were like, oh, no, it's written that he could have pills or an IV. I'm like, what? Okay. And the same thing for when my daughter came out. She had been a competitive cheerleader for 7 years. And then she had a devastating injury where she tore the labrum in her hip. So she too had to have hip surgery, not a whole hip replacement, according to her it basically was. But when she got out of surgery, she was just screaming in pain, and it was so hard. And she was screaming in pain so bad that the blood vessels in her eyes and around her cheeks had burst. And they were trying to do the same thing, but they were trying to give her 2 Tylenol. And I'm like, what the doing here? I'm like, no, that is my daughter. She is not going to be suffering. I don't know why you guys brought her out of recovery like this, because you need to put something back in her because she is screaming and I can't have that. Same thing. I was like, because, I'm a nursing school dropout because of my latex allergy. So I know a couple of words to use that they don't like to be used. They don't like to have the house supervisor have to come out of their bat cave to come and solve what you should be doing. It was the same thing. And I was like, and they said, oh, well, she can have some Vicodin, but because she's 17, studies have shown that, and I'm like, no, same thing. She has not taken anything. She's narcotic naive. She has managed her pain, went to physical therapy, etc., for how many months? And we have saved that for this point where she's going to have pain meds for 2 to 3 weeks, and then she'll stop them. That's what we're doing. And right now, she needs her pain meds, so she got her pain meds. So, apparently, I was not able to fight for myself enough last week, and this is the bullshit that I have to deal with. And I had advocated before, so this wouldn't be. I had my pain doctor write out a note to my surgeon. My surgeon team was supposed to reach out to him with anything. They were all actually on the same page, so there was no argument between them, and everything that they agreed on was written. It's just we didn't expect the insurance to say no. Now, of course, the option would be we could pay for the pain meds out of pocket, okay? No problem. They're cheap. But the problem that they're threatening is that they're saying, well, then if you're going to be getting those drugs, then you can't be getting your Suboxone because then you're going to be on this. And it's like, no, that's not what we're doing. So the insurance would then not pay for my $500 medication. It's just a mess. It's so stupid. When did insurance companies get the right to trump what your surgeon and your doctor say? I mean, I understand that a lot of people misused pain control, but a lot of people didn't. And a lot of people were able to go to work and function in life with the pain meds because they had chronic pain. So the pain meds brought them to an even point with their peers and they could do their work. And for all of the people who took their own lives because they couldn't live without pain control, those are counted as opioid related deaths into overdoses. So it's so manipulated in the statistics, and I'm well versed on all of it, and I've been a part of advocacy groups for pain control and whatnot, and at the end of the day, I'm still a victim of what I have fought to have the right for years. Just pisses me off. And then the CDC will say that the DEA made them do that. And the DEA will say that the CDC made them do that. And then they'll both point back to the Veterans Health Association. And I went and I got all of the Veterans Health Association because they went to them as their standard because they did a study with a cohort of 50-year-old men with back pain. And that's where all this started. And they found that narcotics did not make a difference in their pain. So their cohort is 50-year-old military men that are good at hiding their pain, good at dealing with the pain they've had, good at saying, yeah, this doesn't help, this does help, I don't know. They didn't do it with real people of different ages, of different genders, with different pain-generating illnesses. And so when you go and you look at the source, this is what I do, you guys don't know. I go to the source of everything when they blame things. And when I don't see it, I come back and I say, this isn't what that said. This isn't what that said. This doesn't say that. And you see they're just chasing their tail? Doesn't make any sense. So, right now, I can't type at all. But by golly, I can put my arm up on the desk and I can use my two up and down things that I figure out work better than those things, and I can read. So I'll get off my grump box, my soapbox. Thanks for listening involuntarily to me bitching about our system. I can hear you all going, I know, because you guys are all smart, and you know what's going on. So when we stopped last time, we were at Amanda Thayer's, and we're probably still with her interview with the FBI. So let's see what we left off on. There we go. Okay. So again, here we are on 3/19 of 1960, and we're on Discovery, page 366. And this is unclassified, physical 1A, 1C cover sheet for serial export. Oh God, I just burped it, you guys. I'm sorry. It's probably really gross with the microphone right there. I'm disgusting. Sorry about that. Now, so it says package 1A11. Stored location, none. Interview notes of Amanda Thayer. Acquired by John House, Hause. You know what? There was a house involved heavily with the Kyron Horman story. I wonder if it's the same FBI investigator. I want to think that it was the prosecuting attorney named House, but it may not be. That's why when I'm seeing this house, I'm thinking of Kyron. I did a little story about Kyron Horman in my previous recordings, and that's a story that's near and dear to my heart. And I know somebody wrote a really bad essay about it, but anyway. Um, People have written some good books on it. Let's see. So, interview, notes of Amanda Thayer, House, John. Gosh, House. I know that. Or was it Hauser? So, anyway, acquired from Amanda Thayer, interview notes of Amanda Thayer. Discovery page 367, file note. Notes corresponding to House Report 9, dated 8/22/18, have been requested and will be provided upon receipt. Okay. What's this blank pile here? Discovery page 368, FBI supplemental number 10 with House. Okay. So here we are. Her husband. Nicholas Thayer, hereafter referred as Nick, date of birth redacted, Thornton, Colorado, so must be in his address as well, telephone number 303, then redacted, was interviewed at his residence. After being advised of the identity of the interviewing agent and the nature of the interview, Nick provided the following information. Nick is employed as a media director for Prop Incorporated, 7600 East Orchard Road, Suite 300 South, Greenwood Village, Colorado. Nick obtained a high school diploma. Nick's wife, Amanda Thayer, hereafter referred to as Amanda, and Shanann Watts, set up a play date for the kids in approximately April 2017. Nick met Chris Watts at that play date at the park in Frederick that summer. The Thayers saw them almost every weekend at each other's homes and going out to dinner. Much of the Thayers paid. Just a hunch. In the fall of 2017, Chris started getting into running. Nick and Chris ran at times through the winter on weekends. Chris said he was working out at the Frederick Recreation Center. They didn't share much personal talk. Chris was self-contained and didn't offer much. Nick was also friends with Shanann. They all got along. Oh, of course they did. Nick and Chris mostly communicated through texting about going for runs, sports in general, or making plans for the weekends. There were not many phone calls. Nick and Amanda moved to Thornton, Colorado in June of 2018. Is that right? It's just kind of blurry, and I'm trying to make sure that's right. It says the Thayers saw Shanann and Chris less. Okay, so that goes in where they were saying that they used to spend all the weekends together and whatnot. As a side note, when I was telling you guys about those master planned communities, as each master planned community wants to lure you in, they have food, they have petting zoos, they have games. I mean, you name it, they pour it all out. So, seriously, husband and the kids, we just crashed those events, and it would go from one master plan community event to the next. This one was real good. It had this little passport in the house so then every place you stopped, then you got like a different food representing that country. I mean, I was so stuffed. And then the one was Mexican themed. They had fajitas in the kitchen, and they had tacos in the family room. And I mean, honestly, just goes on and on. And these houses didn't even cost that much because, like I say, the labor is so low and the land is so low. So, I mean, you could have a $300,000 house with an elevator in it and a pool. I mean, and all granite. But where's your equity? They were all nicely gated in facilities, and I'm surprised that the community that Shanann and Chris lived in is not gated. All of the places that I lived in Vegas had private gates. So you had like a garage door opener type to open the gates, and it one was manned and one wasn't, and both kept track of, whose um, buzzer let in at what time. Just tipping back the Gatorade as usual. Glacier freeze flavor. So, Shanann and the kids went to North Carolina for 6 weeks in June 2018. Chris joined them in North Carolina during their last week there, and they all flew back together. Shanann couldn't carry the babies by herself. Nick and Amanda saw Chris the 4th of July at the fireworks show in Thornton. Nick asked Chris a question along the lines of, "What's it like to be a bachelor?" Chris responded that it was weird being in an empty home and that he was working out all the time. Bending NK over. Chris said that Shanann got upset because he missed one of her phone calls because he had NK bent over. Anyway, Chris added, oh, whoops. My fat hands here didn't scroll along right. Here we go. Chris added that anytime he's working out, he runs upstairs when she calls, and he hides that he's doing stuff without Shanann and the girls. Nick had no... So he can't have fun, he can't act happy if she calls, or else she'll get mad. So he has to run upstairs, act not happy, and act like he's not doing anything. And then she goes and tells people he doesn't have game and he's not fun. Mm-hmm. What a bitch of a wife that it gets mad if you're having fun. Come on. Just not nice. He has to hide when he's doing stuff without Shanann and the girls. Well, okay, yeah, if you're doing stuff with NK, but otherwise, I don't think it's right that you had to hide it. Nick had no other indication from Chris about the status of their relationship other than those examples. Nick thought that perhaps Shanann and Chris were married in 2012. Nick stated that he and Chris didn't see each other much and didn't talk much. However, they both signed up for a running race in September 2018. Chris sent Nick a text message photograph of him, race shirt, and bib number. The two exchanged a few texts regarding the upcoming race. Chris and Shanann got back from North Carolina. Shanann and Amanda talked for about 45 minutes. Amanda told Nick that Chris and Shanann weren't doing well in their marriage. Amanda asked if Nick saw the post Shanann made about Celeste in North Carolina, to which Nick said he had. Nick and Amanda thought maybe the issue was part of the problem. Nick was aware that Shanann didn't get along with Chris's parents. Nick received a text from Amanda while he was at work. Amanda told him that Shanann wanted them to watch the kids while Shanann and Chris went away for the weekend, 8/17/2018. Nick said, okay. Nick and Amanda got back from their Kentucky trip on Monday, 8/13/2018, around 3 p.m. or 4 p.m. Nick texted Chris to see if Chris wanted to do some more runs before the September run. Nick provided the following text from his cell phone. Okay, so here we go, and we're in bro mode. Okay, this is from Nick to Chris. Monday at 4:07 p.m. Hey, man, we just got back into town, said Nick. When can you run? Chris responded. Not sure, man. I can't find Shanann or the kids. Haven't heard from them all day. Cops are here. I will keep you posted. Nick. Whoa, what? That is crazy, man. Is there anything I can do? Chris. I don't know, man. It's very odd right now. Nick says, can we head up there? Bring you some food? We're here for you. Nick and Amanda went to Chris's house and rang the bell. So just a little note here from Tabitha Jane. So these people get back from being in Kentucky for her brother's funeral. They barely get back, and then they're there for Christopher Watts, and then that just went from one thing to the next, and that's very sad. Nick and Amanda went to Chris's house and rang the bell. Chris answered the door. In describing Chris's appearance, Nick stated it wasn't Chris. Nick stated that Chris appeared different, overwhelmed, like, what's going on? At that point, the cops were gone. Nick, Amanda, and Chris stood inside by the front door. Nick and Amanda were asking Chris questions about what happened, but Nick could not remember exactly what they asked. Chris told Nick and Amanda the following. Okay. Shanann and Chris were having marital issues. Okay, so this is what Christopher told Nick. Because this is an interview of Nicholas Thayer. Shanann and Chris were having marital issues. Nick stated that Amanda spoke up and said that Shanann told her about the marital issues. That morning, when Chris woke up for work, he told Shanann that he wanted to separate. Chris told her before he went to work because he wanted to tell her in person rather than by text or phone. Chris left for work. Nick stated that Chris did not comment on how Shanann was doing when he left. When Chris was at work, Nicole Utoft began texting him that she couldn't get a hold of Shanann and that Nicole was at their house. Chris headed for home. On the way, he called the girls' school. The girls' school. He was told that they hadn't checked in. Chris told the school to keep the girls on the wait list. When Chris got home, the cops were there and did a walk around. The cops came back with a warrant for a more in-depth search. The cops offered Chris a chance to walk around and search with them, but he said he'd wait outside. Okay, I want to stop for a second. Tabitha Jane here. Look at what this says. It says, Chris headed for home. On the way, he called the girls' school. He was told they hadn't checked in. Chris told the school to keep the girls on the wait list. Okay, this is interesting because the folk legend was that Christopher called the school and said, the girls aren't ever going to be there. The girls aren't coming back to school. This says something completely different, doesn't it? Now, I am assuming that school had a summer break and that the girls had been gone for the 6 weeks, so they weren't in said school. And they were scheduled to come back as the new program began. And they were on a wait list. So Chris was saying, look at how Chris said this here. He said he called the girls' school and he was told they hadn't checked in. Chris told the school to keep the girls on the wait list. Chris didn't say they're never coming back. I'm pulling them out. This is something very different. So, as I say here, I like to get to the source of things. I want to find out where and when somebody said the other things, because what I see right here is something different. And I'm really, like I say, I'm trying not to work ahead, or I don't peek ahead in what's going to be read. I like to work up to where, we can see. But this is really notable to me because they made it sound like on the porch, he said it all and basically was talking in past tense per Shanann's mother. But no, he called the school to see if they were there. That's what he would be expected to do. Had he not called the school, that would be a problem. But he called the school and was told they were not there. And he said, keep them on the waiting list. Because honestly, if he didn't do this, he just figured that it was a shenanigan, playing a shenanigan. I mean, so many things that are just, they don't add up. One says one thing and one says the other. Okay. So, I just can't, you guys know now, I've got something stuck in the cog because this says a lot to me. Nick, Amanda, and Chris continued talking at the kitchen table. Chris continued. Chris said the cops took Shanann's cell phone. The neighbors showed the cops the security footage of him loading up his truck and leaving that morning. But the footage showed nothing after that. The video doorbell didn't show anything. Chris saw a credit card charge for a taxi cab, but didn't know anything else about it. Chris didn't know what to think or do. Nick stated that while the three of them were brainstorming about what they could be doing, Chris stated, "Do I walk out into the field to look for someone?" Nick stated that Chris made no comments about the fact that Shanann was gone, but all her stuff was still there. When Amanda mentioned Shanann's items that were still in the house, Chris confirmed those items as being her phone, purse, wallet, wedding ring, car seats, the kids' medicine. Based on all of those items being left behind, Chris indicated he thought Shanann just left. Side note here, we have seen pictures of the stockpile of medications in a closet that would get somebody through the apocalypse. Because God forbid she didn't have something to put those kids to sleep with. So I don't really see the medication being a thing. I guess it's what people have habits, because I don't ever wear my wedding ring. If I had taken my kids down to the pool, I would just be at the pool. So I don't know. I guess it all just depends on habits. Nick stated that Chris was in the process of calling and texting Shanann's friends. Amanda said she heard about a potential Amber Alert. Chris said he had been contacting emergency rooms before Nick and Amanda arrived. Nick stated that Chris seemed like he was just trying to process everything. He put his head down a lot. He didn't know what to do. Excuse me. Chris told Nick he didn't want to talk to the news media because they might pry and turn his words around. Chris knew how it would look, and he would be the public enemy number one. Nick stated he was worried about that. And any good lawyer, this is me talking, any good lawyer or advisor is going to tell you don't talk to the media, don't talk, get yourself an attorney, and that's your mouthpiece. And that's that. Amanda invited Chris to stay at the Thayer's house. Chris said he wouldn't that night, but he would the next night. Amanda and Chris went home around 7 p.m. that night. Okay, let me think this out loud for a second. So he had these people over at his house, and it sounds like the Thayer's kids were there. So they're running all over what may or may not be a crime scene in the house. And Christopher is there in the house with others. And how many people have now been through this house that may or may not be a crime scene? Yeah, it makes my head hurt. It was not. This is exactly what happened with John Bonet. Oh, shaking my head. Chris said he wouldn't that night, but he would the next night. Okay. So that's also a loaded statement, because how did Chris know that Shanann and the girls were going to be gone still the next night? Amanda and Chris went home around 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. When they got home, they texted Chris at 9:33 p.m. They told Chris they had stopped at McDonald's and the gas station at I-25 and Highway 52 to see if anyone there saw anything. And Chris responded at 9:43 p.m. stating, "Thanks, man." What, were they looking for the Hamburglar out there at the McDonald's, seeing if she'd done anything? On Tuesday morning, 8/14/2018, Nick texted Chris to see if he was going to work. Chris said he didn't get much sleep and was going to stay home. Nick and Amanda took their daughter to school. Nick texted Chris at 8:30 a.m. on 8/14/2018 to ask if he'd heard anything from the police, and Chris responded, "Nothing yet." The two texted back and forth briefly. Nick and Amanda drove to Chris's house. On the way there, the news media started contacting them. When they arrived at Chris's house, they found Chris to be tired, not himself, and overwhelmed, which is exactly what you'd think he would be. The three sat at the kitchen table. They talked about the possibility of Nick and Amanda talking to the media about the media talking to Chris. I'm going to say that again because that is a loaded-ass sentence. They talked about the possibility of Nick and Amanda talking to the media about the media talking to Chris. I'm going to put that in layman's language and say they wanted to tell the media not talk to Chris. I don't even know if that makes sense. That's just weird. Anyway, during the afternoon on Tuesday, Nick overheard a telephone call between Chris and either his mother or Shanann's mother. Chris made a comment along the lines of, "The longer this goes on, the more I worry that they might be hurt or in danger." Chris stated that he had received a text from a realtor on Monday night. Chris told Nick and Amanda that he and Shanann had talked about putting the house on the market. The house was too big and too much of a financial burden, and they wanted to downgrade. Chris said he wasn't sure if that is what made Shanann mad at him, although Chris hadn't talked about Shanann being mad before that moment. Chris was wondering if that's what started all this. Chris made no mention about having any girlfriends. Nick and Amanda left Chris's house just before 4 p.m. in order to pick up their daughter from school. They offered to have Chris stay at their house that night, and Chris agreed to it. Chris said he'd be over in a little bit. When Nick and Amanda arrived at their home, Nick called Chris. Chris said he was coming over, and Chris called Nick about 10 minutes later and said that Fox News was still in his front yard. Kick him up. What do you think your sprinklers are for? Get Fox News out of there. Anyway, Chris was concerned about how it would look if he was seen leaving his house with a bag of clothes. Well, buddy, I think that's the least of your concerns right now. At about 6:20 p.m., Nix texted Chris again. Chris said he was just leaving his house. Approximately 20 minutes later, Chris called. He told Nick that Frederick Police Department wanted him to come and talk to an FBI agent. Nick responded via text stating that he and Amanda would go there and offer support. Chris responded, "Thanks, man." Nick and Amanda went to the Frederick Police Department. Chris came out around 11 p.m., and Chris gave a brief summary of the interview, but they all decided to talk more once they got home. At the house, Chris said the interview was intense. He stated it was like being interviewed by 3 people, all by one person. He stated they had his phone and asked him all this stuff in his phone. About all this stuff in his phone. They asked him about his weight loss and who is she? In parentheses. They would disappear for 15 minutes and then would start all over when they came back. He was getting the same questions in a different form. He was grilled and asked, "So why did you do it?" At the end of the interview, the agent told him he did a good job. Nick told Chris he'd been texting with a private investigator friend. Nick gave Chris some lawyer contact information upon the advice of the private investigator. Chris was appreciative and went to bed. Chris said he was planning on going to work until his dad arrived. On Wednesday, 8/15 of 2018, Chris told Nick that his work told him not to come in. Chris left his house at 9:30 a.m. to get his dad from the airport. Nick and Amanda went to work. Nick stated that he found it strange that Chris didn't know if Shanann had her Apple Watch since it wasn't in the charger. Nick knew that Shanann always wore her Apple Watch and always had her phone with her. Chris never made other comments over time about whether Shanann slept while wearing her Apple Watch. Nick stated that he would preserve all his call and text data. Okay. Now we are over here to more notes from interview of Nicholas Thayer. There was a couple of blank pages in there. Okay. And now we're at discovery page 375. So there were blank pages after that. And so there, you didn't miss anything there, how we just hopped out a couple pages, because we're on 328 of 1960 now, and it says file note. And this is at FBI supplemental number 10, House reported date 8/22/18. And it says notes corresponding to House Report 10, dated 8/22/18, have been requested and will be provided upon receipt. So now we have, oh, guys ready? Ooh, go pour your tea, because here we go. You ready? This is the interview of Nicole Kessinger. Dang it. I think I'm going to need another Gatorade. Can you guys hold, please, while I go get another Gatorade? Because this is going to be interesting, and I'm going to have a lot of likes, because Nicole Kessinger has the like herpes, where she says like and like and like and like and like and like. And I got to go get something, because we're going to be saying and like and like and like. And let's just please hope that Boo Boo doesn't hop up. So hold on, guys, while I go get another Gatorade. I'll be right back. I am back. You guys ready? In my cookie cutter neighborhood, people so much money to have lights put on the edges of their roofs and stuff, so it makes a beautiful, beautiful place. Like, okay, so when the snow is really heavy, it looks really beautiful, because just the edges of the roofs are done in lights. But it's like $3,000 to have it done. Like, I'll stick an angel on my porch and call it good. But I like to look out at them. It's like I say, I think that lights should be holiday lights. I don't think people should stop the lights at Christmas. If it's happy holidays, right? It should be through the season. And I think that Jesus, brought the light, and we don't know exactly when, December 24th hit, in the way that the calendars hit. I mean, they see Jesus' birthday as on or around, but we celebrate it. So I think for Jesus, we should keep the lights up too. And we have a lot of good snow right now, and I'm really happy, because last week it was looking like we may not get a white Christmas, but we are now, but it's really cold. So when I just went over and got my Gatorade, I got some peanut butter M&Ms too. So I'm being disgusting here and eating with my microphone right here, being what I always thought I wouldn't. But with my left hand, I can eat the M&Ms. Okay, because this one's interesting. I think MK is a real interesting character. And if she wasn't suspected in the murder of children, I think she'd be like an interesting person to know. But she's kind of a guy's girl, you know what I mean? I don't think she would get along with girls very well. Well, that's fine. I don't either. But, I mean, she's a geologist, so that's very interesting. But, what are you doing? Kisses is scratching. Ma Kisses, are you going to wait for me to get into NK mode? Mm-hmm. It's going to be intense. We're going to have to say a lot of likes. Okay. I'm gonna have to psych myself up for this. And this is gonna be good because we don't have her weird ass dad butting in. Allegedly, her dad's a Freemason, right? Okay. Okay, just glancing at that, her dad is there. Oh my god. Dad talks like he has the biggest dong west of the Mississippi. Oh my god. I wonder what he looks like. I don't think I saw him. I don't think I saw a picture of NK's dad clear enough in the interview. Okay, I got a little sugar in, got a little peanut butter in. You guys ready? We do one more swig of Gatorade, and then we're gonna go for it. All right. That was our intermission. Everybody ready? Okay, here we go. Okay, so this is on Discovery page 376. FBI Supplemental Number 11, Jones Leher. So it's Jones, Lehrer, Jones Leher. So it must be those two agents that are doing this. And this is page 1 of 4. And it is from the FBI, Federal Bureau of Investigation. Now, the date of entry is 8/27. Actually, that looks like it could be 9/27. Again, this is very, very blurry. So it's either 8 or 9/27, 2018. Excuse me. So, Nicole Kessinger, protect identity in those brackets. Is in brackets, protect identity. Oh, yes, because we have to protect the princess, right? Why does she get such protection? I'm telling you, if I was ever accused of anything, you know they'd put me under the frickin' jail. Anyway, protect identity. Date of birth, redacted, was interviewed at Majestic View Park, 8880 West 72nd Avenue, Arvada, Colorado. Her father, Big Dong Dwayne Kessinger, was also present. After being advised of the identity of the interviewing agent and to the nature of the interview, Kessinger provided the following information. The below is an interview. Now, this is in bold. The below is an interview summary. It is not intended to be a verbatim account and does not memorialize all statements made during the interview. Communications by the parties in the interview room were electronically recorded. The recording captures the actual words spoken. Okay. So what? Let's just make sure. I guess they're just making sure that everything around NK is so special, and that she just has to, be handled with such kid gloves. Okay. So here we go. And it says, Kessinger works as a contractor for Anadarko Petroleum in the Human Health and Safety Department. She met Christopher Watts in approximately June 2018 through the course of working at Anadarko, and they began to talk and hang out. Off the cuff here, Tabitha Jane. Tabitha Jane has seen in an interview Christopher Watts himself say that he introduced NK to his children and his wife in 2017 at a 4th of July celebration. So this right here is wrong, and I have proof of it. He said that to Sherilyn Cadle And I have that in one of my videos as well. So right here, big fat lie. Big fat lie. I'm putting on pumpkin latte, Bath and Body Works body cream all over me because I have areas that are very dry and areas where the tape was from surgery on my stomach that just hurt. I'm allergic to latex, and they know that they don't put that, but there's still something in the adhesive that seems to have just gotten me. So, anyway. She met Christopher Watts in approximately June 2018, throughout the course of working at Anadarko, and they began to fuck and hang out. God. They began to talk and hang out. Kessinger was aware that Watts was married and had children. You hussy. And he had told her that he was separating from his wife. Kessinger was aware that Watts' wife and children were missing at the time of the interview. Okay. So with this, we can't say that Kessinger... I mean, who's not going to tell their mistress that they're separating from their wife? I'm not going to count this as one of the instances because, no. So, Kessinger and Watts' relationship developed into more than a friendship, and it became intimate. Watts had told Kessinger that he loved her approximately 2 weeks prior to the time of this interview. While Kessinger and Watts had discussed a potential future together, Kessinger wanted to wait until Watts' divorce became final before advancing their relationship any further. Kessinger frequently spoke with Watts via telephone and text message. She believes her father and Watts are the only individuals aware of their relationship. Only Daddy knows. Watts was looking for a 2-bedroom apartment to rent following his divorce, and Kessinger was going to help locate a suitable place the week of August 13th, 2018. Watts was planning to list his house for sale on Monday, August 13th, 2018. Watts' wife had located the realtor. Okay, so we can go a little further and say that, this was a plan, there was that. Now, Shanann's plans changed from whatever she was doing in North Carolina to whatever this. You don't really see a clear plan in Shanann's thing. You don't really see her going forth with a downgrade in a home. You do hear it from Christopher's narrative consistently of downsizing and even getting an apartment. So, Kessinger had suggested that Watts try to find an apartment near his wife so his children may be close to both parents. Kessinger's parents lived far apart when she was growing up, which was difficult for her, so she did not want Watts to create that type of a situation for his daughters. Kessinger suggested Watts look for 3-bedroom apartments so his daughters could have their own rooms, but Watts told her he could not afford such an apartment. And I think that's reasonable. I mean, for a divorced dad, starting out, I think that, having 3 and 4-year-old girls having their room where they're there sometimes and at the mother's house another time, I think it's reasonable to have them share a room. I think it's insightful that Kessinger suggested, the apartment be where the mom is, but we don't know where mom is saying she's going to relocate because she's not made those kind of plans because her whole world is spiraling around her. Kessinger that he wanted to move into an apartment to save money. He told Kessinger that his wife may stay in or near Frederick, Colorado, but he did not think she could afford a house by herself. Kessinger was aware that Watts' wife worked as a sales representative of some type related to fitness or vitamins, which required her to have a social media presence. Kessinger last saw Watts in person on Saturday, August 11th, 2018. Watts and Kessinger went out to dinner at the Lazy Dog restaurant near Interstate 25 and 144th Avenue. Kessinger believes they met at approximately 5 or 6 p.m., and she was home around 10 p.m., possibly sooner. Watts had hired a babysitter to watch his daughters until 10 p.m. Kessinger believes this was one of the few times she had been in public with Watts. Otherwise, they were usually fucking at her residence. Kessinger did not want to go to Watts' house, as that was a space he shared with his wife. Kessinger and Watts had traveled together to the sand dunes during the week of the 4th of July. She believes they had left Saturday and returned on Sunday. Okay, guys, I might have interjected one F word in there that wasn't really there. Kessinger and Watts nearly always took Kessinger's truck if they went places. She had seen Watts driving a white vehicle, but they only used that vehicle on one occasion for a quick errand. To go buy condoms? Day, August 13, 2018, Watts told Kessinger that his family was gone and he didn't know where they were. Kessinger believed that maybe Watts' wife had become fed up and just left. So she was not overly concerned at first. Turned on Tuesday, August 14, 2018, after Watts' family had still not been heard from or located. So she contacted law enforcement in order to advise law enforcement of her relationship and offer possible assistance locating the missing persons. Watts does not know Kessinger has been in contact with law enforcement. Kessinger does not recall any odd text messages on Sunday, August 12th, 2018. On Monday, Kessinger left work at approximately 3 o'clock p.m., and she believes she text messaged Watts at around 3:45 p.m. Watts and Kessinger spoke Monday night, and he sounded scared and concerned about his kids. He did not discuss any missing items at the house, nothing odd or any signs of a struggle. Kessinger and Watts traded some additional text messages on Tuesday, August 14th, 2018. Kessinger became fed up with Watts and deleted her text messages with Watts on August 14th, 2018. Kessinger would be willing to provide her cellular telephone for forensic extraction if needed. Kessinger recalled that Watts spoke about his wife in a civil manner and said she was a good mother. Watts was always excited to talk about his daughters. He never complained about anything negative. Instead, he explained that he and his wife no longer connected and that they had financial differences. Watts explained that he did not want to fix his marriage and there was no fixing it. Kessinger never met Watts' family, but she did see their photographs at Watts' home when she went to his home around the second week of July. That was the only time Kessinger recalled visiting Watts' home, and she only stayed approximately 15 minutes. Oh, a quickie? Kessinger did not know that Watts' wife was pregnant until she had seen media reports about the pregnancy associated with the missing persons report on August 14, 2018. Kessinger asked Watts about the baby, and he stated the child was not his. Let me read that one more time. Kessinger asked Watts about the baby, and he stated the child was not his. This is me off on a tangent here. Sure, on the surface, any man confronted with that is going to say, it's not my baby, she's been fucking around. But in this instance, I honestly believe he knew that was not his child, and that is what led to the fighting and why she went to North Carolina. And the fact of why was she lying about being 1 month further ahead of her pregnancy than she was. Please refer to my other videos that explain why she lied about the due date. If you've not seen that, that will make this make more sense. I mean, of course, he didn't tell her that she was pregnant. He didn't tell his mistress that she was pregnant. That's bad. But no man would. But I would like to know if there are other parts too where he stated the child was not his. Is that a Michael Jackson song? Kid is not my lover. I don't know. Anyway. Yeah, it's Billie Jean. It's in Billie Jean. Where Billie Jean is trying to say the kid is his. Anyway, alright. I digress. I'm back. Here I am. Back to the discovery. I just watsed out. I apologize. Kessinger asked Watts about the baby, and he stated the child was not his. Watts further stated that he did not want to ruin anything Kessinger and Watts had going. Kessinger told Watts that she knew the child was his and explained that was okay. Watts finally admitted the child was his. And here I went off on that tangent. See, I told you I don't read ahead because I was like, okay. And now he's like, all right, I guess it's mine. Christopher, I don't think it was yours. I think your Homer and Gomer thing that you told Sherilyn Cradle Crap was true. Kessinger could not remember any additional lies Watts may have told her. Kessinger had asked Watts what happened and where his family may be, and he responded that he did not know. Kessinger does not think Watts would have harmed them. Watts told Kessinger that he had a conversation with his wife on the morning of August 13, 2018. Watts's wife had text messaged Watts asking him to wake her up before he went to work. Watts's wife told Watts that the baby she was carrying was not his. Wait, what? What? Okay, hold on. Was that my peanut M&Ms or did I just see something here? Holy Toledo? I need a pen. Where are my pens? Where are my pens? Do you know that I have a pen box, and I wrote pens on it, but part of the eraser, the Sharpie went off and it looks like I have a box that says penis on it. Well, I do. And this is a grand opportunity to write something on grab my penis box. It's supposed to say pens, but it looks like a penis. Because look at this, guys. Look at this. I'm going to Watts out here. Okay, I can't write. Well, I'm going to write about as good as some of those FBI agents because I'm going to write 3. Oh, Lord, it looks like I'm 2 years old again. Because on 3/32 of 1960... Oh, I wish you guys could see how funny this is. I'll have to take a picture of this sometime. Okay, because it says not his. Oh. Holy Toledo. Okay, all right. Here we go, because here it goes. Watts told Kessinger that he had a conversation with his wife on the morning of August 13th, 2018. Watts's wife had text messaged Watts asking him to wake her up before he went to work. Watts's wife told Watts that the baby she was carrying was not his. She told Watts that she would be taking the kids that day. Watts did not describe any arguments that day to Kessinger. I've never heard this. I have freaking never heard this. And I wonder if when they went back and forth with the texts and stuff, if they can prove that Shanann texted him and said, hey, wake me up, I want to talk before you go. And where is this iWatch? Because this iWatch would hold a plethora of information, I'm sure. But he had already had a discussion with Kessinger where he said the kid isn't his. Kessinger says, yes, it is. I know it is. I'm not mad. He's like, okay, I guess it is. But then this comes down here to where Watts told Kessinger he had a conversation with his wife on the morning of August 13th, 2018, the day she went missing. Watts' wife had text messaged Watts asking him to wake her up before he went to work. Watts' wife told Watts that the baby she was carrying was not his. She told Watts that she would be taking the kids that day. Watts did not describe any argument that day to Kessinger. I've never heard this. Okay, Kessinger had heard Watts discuss his friend, Mark. Last name unknown. And then in parentheses it says LNU. In or around San Diego, California. And Nick, LNU, in the Denver metro area. Beyond these two individuals, Kessinger was not aware of. And then it skips some words because this does not flow right. Because it says Kessinger was not aware of identities of Watts' friends or associates, but she believed Watts and his wife had a number of couples friends. That does not flow right. Kessinger considers Watts to be an introvert, and his hobbies are cars and working out. Kessinger knew that Watts worked out using equipment in his basement. Kessinger worked out at a gym, and the two never worked out together. That's arguable. Kessinger never saw Watts become angry or make threatening statements. She had never observed another side of Watts. That side is in parentheses. So she's saying essentially he's not Heckle Jekyll. Kessinger does not believe Watts owns weapons, and discussions she had with him indicated that he did not view owning weapons or multiple weapons favorably. Watts never mentioned any type of traumatic upbringing. He had discussed living in North Carolina some, and he had explained that he decided to move to Colorado after visiting friends living in the state. Watts had discussed his recent trip to North Carolina. His wife had initially traveled by herself, and he had traveled to meet her. Kessinger does not maintain social media accounts. She has work and personal email accounts, but communication with Watts with these accounts was minimal. Kessinger advised that she was available for future contract and to assist investigators should it become necessary. Aw, dang. I didn't get to do a bunch of light herpes. I thought it was going to be like the whole like interview like where she was like doing this and like, oh my god, and Christopher was like, oh my god, and then we were like, look at my pussy, and then like, oh my god, like look at what it can do, and then like, oh my god, don't bring James into it, yeah, so we had a freaking three-way, we plugged every hole I could, but come on. No, none of that. So anyway, looks like it's going to be handwritten, and so we just read off what this chicken scratch is here. And I think that they might need to go to chicken scratch handwriting school. And I think I could join there because everything here that I'm seeing was dictated. Yes, and Kate got dictated, didn't she? Let's see. There is something here, and it says sounded scared. And then regarding the discussion of missing things odd, struggle, hanging out, talking, knew about kids and separation, becoming finalized. Separation, what? Knew about kids, and a weird symbol, separation becoming finalized. Monday afternoon, gone, don't know where she was. Tuesday, still not around, concerning, didn't know prior to June. Contracting for Anadarko, human health and safety. Oh my God, it's the one who's trying to make the ampersand that he can't make. Talking text phone, developed beyond friendship. Wanted to wait till divorce was final. Lost game Saturday. Went to dinner. Babysitter came over. Came back to house. One of only times in public. Okay. White car. Takes Nicole's truck going out. Two-bed apartment. Girls this week. Close to ex who he's staying for good relationship. Talks all the time. Doesn't. No talking. Doesn't say stop. And then didn't connect anymore. So this is more things. Regarding discussion of missing things odd. I can't tell if that says struggle or whatever it says. It says didn't talk Tuesday, just see text. No odd conversations, no change in relationship. Shedan. Conversation civil. Didn't connect anymore. Financial differences. Yep. Never negative. Said loved her a couple weeks ago. Talked about future, never mentioned children or wife. At his house once, second weekend of July. Here 15 minutes, see photos. Didn't want to fix marriage. Never in work truck. So yeah, we've seen all of that. And then there's more handwriting. And it's what we saw here. Because it says sell house, both looking for places, think she was staying in Frederick. Shanann couldn't afford house alone. Yeah, that's true. Because the bitch would have to work for herself and earn $1. The real way. Knew Shanann worked as some sort of sales rep. No weapons, knife or gun. No mention of traumatic upbringing. Some discussion of North Carolina. Some friends worried. Moved to Colorado. Visited good relationship with family in North Carolina. Talked about recent trip back to NC. In white truck. Went to the sand dunes. Yes, we saw those. When she goes and she's like, Christopher, I love you. Thank you for taking me here, Christopher. I'm having the best time of my life, Christopher. Thank you. You guys all remember that sand dune shit. Then Saturday and Sunday, several people, no social media. Got something, a birthday card. Working out, house and basement, never worked. Whatever. No threatening, angry statements, no other side. Always excited to talk about kids. Didn't know pregnant until 8:14 via news. So that's when Nicole found out. and then it said not his, eventually admitted it was his, and then couldn't afford a 3-bedroom. Friend Mark in San Diego, Nick in Denver Metro, lots of couples friends, considers an introvert. Hobbies, care of gym, some financial difficulty, move into to save money, house supposed to go up for sale 8/13 to 18. Shanann found a realtor. And then here we go with this where this handwritten it says Shanann, with connection of Shanann in the morning, texted asking him to wake her up before going to work. She said baby, not his. As told, thinks out of something, taking kids today. So I mean, this is the handwriting thing, but this is where we're hearing Christopher said when Christopher was pressed with NK. NK was like, I know it's yours and I'm not mad. And he's like, okay, I guess it's mine. But then we're hearing this, that he's saying that Shanann told him that the baby wasn't his. What does he need to lie about that at that point? I know some, so this is me talking off the cuff. I know that there are some people who are just outright kind of good people. And some of those good, right, and kind people are wasting away in prison because they were pressured into saying something that wasn't true. Because they wanted to say something that would take the pressure and the discomfort away from the situation at hand. I think Christopher Watts is one of them. I think very easily he could be conned into, talked into something that he didn't do. And he would say yes, yes, no, what? Because he doesn't know how to stand up for himself. He needed a lawyer, and it's sad that when Nick Thayer suggested the one, that he didn't jump on it, because he needed a lawyer. Then I wouldn't be up here at 4 a.m. talking about him, because this wouldn't have happened. Then it says didn't say anything about conditions, argument, not sure about affair, no, something, deleted yesterday after messages, work phone and personal, and it has it, and it's not redacted, and I'm not going to say it. Discovery, page 382. Working copy of Nicole Kessinger interview. And we're going over here. And Chad McNeil, telephone number redacted, was interviewed, and this is on 8/27/2018. So we didn't even have to do the like herpes. Sorry, guys. I thought it was going to be a bunch of back and forth and the dad getting all in and growling and everything. Man. All right. Chad McNeil, telephone number redacted, was interviewed at his place of employment, Anadarko Petroleum Corporation, 501 North Division Boulevard, Platteville, Colorado. Greg Zentner, Colorado Bureau of Investigation, was also present during the course of the interview. After being advised of the identities of the interviewing agents and the nature of the interview, McNeil provided the following information. McNeil is an Anadarko field coordinator, and he has known Christopher Watts for a little more than a year. Approximately a year ago, he transferred to Texas for work, but he returned to the Platteville office on or about August 6th. During his time in Texas, Watts and Troy McCroy assumed McNeil's area of responsibility within Anadarko's oil field around Platteville, Colorado. This area includes E40 batteries south and east of Weld County Road 22 to Rogan, Colorado, and Denver International Airport. McNeil recalled that Watts talked the world. This sentence doesn't make sense. McNeil recalled that Watts talked the world of his two daughters. Since returning to Colorado, McNeil had heard Watts talk about his new baby. McNeil described Watts as well liked. He did not have issues with other individuals, and McNeil was not aware of Watts having any enemies. McNeil was not aware of any issues between his wife and other individuals. McNeil was aware that Watts's daughters had some health issues. On Monday, August 13th, 2018, McNeil was assigned to an oil battery called Survey 319, which is located north of Rogan, Colorado. McNeil recalled that he had received a text message from Watts at approximately 6:15 a.m. stating that Watts was at the site. McNeil provided consent for interviewing agents to review and photograph text messages exchanged between McNeil and Watts. These messages are electronically maintained with this document. The actual time of the text message stating, "You headed out to Survey? I'm out here," was 6:41 a.m. McNeil arrived at Survey 319 with Melissa Parrish at approximately 8 o'clock a.m. McNeil and Parrish drove separately in their work trucks. McNeil and Parrish drove separately in their work trucks, but they arrived at the battery together. Watts appeared to be normal, which is described as nice, quiet, and pleasant. McNeil also described Watts as a hard worker who gets things done. McNeil noted that Watts's pants were tucked into his boots, and McNeil made a joke about that. Watts appeared to take the joke in good humor, and Watts was wearing blue, fire-resistant shirt and pants. Survey 319 is described as a standard-size site of approximately a half-acre containing 2 tanks, a separator, and a pump. McNeil, Parrish, and Watts, and Troy McCroy worked on Survey 319 for a while, then left to work at Union Pacific Railroad Company, UPRC. At UPRC 10 TAC 29, the operators met. Cody Roberts. Roberts had reported a leak on Survey 319 the previous Friday, August 10th, 2018, but he began his day at UPRC 10 TAC 29. Well, at UPRC 10 TAC 29, Watts began talking on his telephone. McNeil learned that some type of security alarms were activating at Watts's home. Watts explained that a neighbor was at his front door, and he was looking at his phone. Sorry, I need a drink. Watts took approximately 5 or 6 calls while standing near McCoy's truck. Watts appeared worried and flustered about the alarm. Watts stated something to the effect of, "Something is not right. I have to go check it out." And he left UPRC 10 TAC 29 at approximately noon to go check his house. At approximately 3:23 p.m., McNeil called Watts to ask how Watts was doing. McNeil joked and asked something to the effect of, "Did you catch the robber?" Watts replied that his family was missing. McNeil offered assistance if Watts needed anything. McNeil did not recall Watts making any odd comments during the day or during follow-up conversations. McNeil was provided contact information for interviewing agents, and he was asked to call if he recalled additional information. Later, on August 15, 2018, Ryder called McNeil asking for additional directions to Survey 319. McNeil provided the requested information and also advised that he had recalled some additional information. On Monday, August 13th, 2018, McNeil had observed Watts wearing old boots with his pants tucked in as previously stated. McNeil thought the pants being tucked into the boots was unusual, but he was also told by Troy McCoy that Watts had on a new pair of boots that he had been wearing. Watts was not wearing a new pair of boots on Monday. McNeil also recalled Watts complaining that he was hot when McNeil and Parrish arrived. McNeil remarked that this complaint was odd as it was only around 8 a.m., and McNeil did not recall it being very warm. McNeil did not recall seeing any perspiration or stains on Watts' clothing. McNeil did not recall if Watts had performed any work on the site by the time McNeil and Parrish had arrived. Okay, so now here's the handwriting from what we just saw. And it says Chad McNeil, field coordinator. Looks like that's the way that wrote. Known Troy Chris, field spots, well in Texas. E40 is just southeast of E22 to Ruggin, TGA. Talks world of girls and family. Came back August 6th. What? Talks world of little girls and family, and then it says, there's a word that says Monday crossed out, and then it says come back August 6th. Seen in office, talked about new baby. Survey 319 texted 8:15 in the morning. Already out there by self. Talked to Chris asking if coming out. Met with Chris at site. Went to Survey 1029 and then that weird ampersand he can't make. Met Rudy Roberts. Arrived. Melissa, weird thing he cannot do. He's trying to write N, but he can't write an N like an ampersand. He's just doing it weird. And Chad arrived at 8 a.m. I can't read this word. Reported, and then it says reported Friday, investigate. And then it says seemed normal Chris, nice, quiet, pleasant, pants tucked in boots. And then a word I can't decipher. Took in good humor, 1029 on phone. Security alarm going off at house and neighbor at house. There's some triangles going up and down. It says somebody coming to door. We've seen this before. Looking at phone, left at noon. Thought false. Back behind Troy's truck for calls. 5 to 6 calls. Half an acre, 2 oil tanks, separator. Standard size. Hard worker. In something of repairing, maybe. Then got alarm. Seemed worried about alarm, and then there's this word above it. Neighbor kept walking back to front door. And then that weird symbol. Thought neighbor. Gotta go check it out. Something not right. No elaboration. All right. And that brings us to discovery, page 387. And then it says, called later, 3 o'clock p.m. Seemed worried, said family missing, 3:23 p.m. Joking around, asks if got robber, family missing. Said call if need anything. Well liked, no issues, no enemies. No something issues with wife. Maybe not sure if issues with wife, but I don't want to infer health issues for kids. Yeah, because Shanann had to be a little whiny twat because her kids had illnesses just like every other kid has, especially when you put a kid in a daycare school situation and they get every single thing known to mankind. They get all the viruses they're ever going to get, and that is part of having kids and having school and being in a society. But whiny twat couldn't fucking deal with being a mom. Anyway, sorry I digressed and watched out. Anyway, health issues for kids. It's just fucking ridiculous. Anyway, no odd comments. Already at site, trouble fixing. Blue FR shirt, FR jeans. Troy said family, not a big talker, will get things done. Okay, so now we're back here, and it has case number, and it says defendant name. So we're over here to discovery, page 388, page 341 of 1960. And this is a non-PDF file list. And it says that there's these attachments and whatnot, but these are not hyperlinked, like the one that I saw that has all of the blue hyperlinks that I want to expand. And most of those hyperlinks seem like they are what we just read. So I don't know what is going on here, what we're going to find. We're on Discovery page 390, and we're at the incident report for the Decano Police Department. And the date reported 8/17. Oh, wow. I don't know what just made me think of this. Do you guys remember cooking bags? They were like those little things made by Banquet that make the TV dinners. And you would put them in a boiling pot of water because it was before microwaves. So like early 80s, you'd put this plastic gravy and mystery meat in, and then you'd put it over a piece of bread. They were cooking bags. But like roast beef and gravy, chicken and cream chicken. Not all about those cooking bags. I don't think I've seen them for 30 odd years. Maybe that's why they went out of business. Maybe I was the only person eating them. Why am I thinking about that at frickin' 5:30 in the morning? I don't know. But a cooking bag sounds good. I know. What also sounds good is a frickin' fried egg. But because I can't even make a ponytail on my own head, I doubt I can make myself a frickin' fried egg. But you know what? I can still want. All right. So peanut butter M&Ms are going to have to do. Where did I put you? Failed out of gymnastics class every time I took it because I couldn't do a frickin' cartwheel because I can't do anything with my left. When it comes to me trying to work both sides of my body, it doesn't happen. I am so right-handed that I'm right-handedly right-handed. And it's just craziness. Want the wind chill out here? It says it's negative 28. That's cold. Expecting a big snowmageddon, a big old winter storm for Christmas. I like it. Okay. So, they've got their little letterhead here. It looks weird when it's faxed. Oh, looks like a Chewbacca. What's an incident report? We're on page 342 of 1960. Let's see what this is. So, this is to assist other agencies. Do you guys like peanut butter M&Ms? Oh my god. The only thing better than peanut butter M&Ms is what comes out now at Christmas. They did it last year and they did it this year. And it is sugar cookie M&Ms. So the inside, instead of chocolate, is sugar cookie. And I think I've ate about 6 pounds of them so far. I've gotten the big bags and then they're gone. And I tell my husband, I'm like, dadgummit, there must have been a hole in the bag. Must be M&Ms all over the street where you came in. As there's none left in the bag. Can you go buy me more? Okay. So here we are. And this is a narrative written by Jesse Lambert from the Daycona Fire Department. Daycona Police Department. And it's assist other agency. And what it says here is it says, on 8/17/18, at approximately 13:25 hours, I was asked by Officer Davies with Frederick Police Department to assist with a burglary in progress call at 2825 Saratoga Trail, Frederick, Colorado. Weld County Communications advised that there were multiple people in the house taking pictures, and the reporting party, a neighbor, said that he didn't think they had permission to be in the residence. I was advised by responding officers that the individuals in the house might be an investigation team from the district attorney's office. Okay, so we've already read this. This is just a different supplemental form, but we'll just go through this. And it pisses me off that this was allowed to go on because, as we know what this is, why was Nosy Neighbor Nate not charged with false reporting and a number of other things he should have been charged with? Because he knew this wasn't a burglary in progress. He knew that. He could have just given information and said, hey, I see this. Can you guys check it out when you have time? He didn't need to make a 911 and say it's a burglary in progress. Upon arrival, a male identifying himself as the reporting party contacted me and said that when he went up to the door and knocked, but the individuals inside would not open the door. Yeah, you jackass, because it's not your fucking house. Anyway, I looked through the front window by the door and saw several people walking around and several tubs of equipment on the floor. A male opened the door and advised that he was with Christopher Watts' defense team. Frederick officers arrived shortly after I made contact at the door. The male asked for us to come inside, so we were not in earshot of the news camera that were set up on the street. Officer Davies asked me to call the Weld County District Attorney's Office to see if the defense team was allowed to be in the house. Well, they contacted the defense team. I spoke with District Attorney Investigator Kathy Holscher, and she advised that the house had been released as a crime scene and the defense team was allowed to be there. I relayed the information to the Frederick officers and I cleared the scene. My actions were recorded on Axon body camera, and nothing further at this time. It's just freaking manipulation. It doesn't say that this one was done by Nosy Neighbor Nate, but Nosy Neighbor Nate was the one. So either he called Shanann's mother, Mama Roo, or that. Either way, this is a absolute waste of resources. Now we go in here and we have something. It's a supplemental, and it's in handwriting. and 8/15/18, and it says Amanda Thayer, Thornton, child care director of the Goddard School, 4203 East 136 Thornton, 80602. Bachelor's Department of Human Services. Something and Family Studies. We know what it is, but I'm not gonna. It was, her degree, but it says met Shanann in Erie at the Primrose School. And so this is handwritten, what we've seen dictated, but I'll just kind of go through it so we are covering everything. Met Shanann in Erie at Primrose School, where she was the director in Erie. And then it says where Cece and Bella went. Got to know SW as a parent, talked every day at drop off and pick up. AT Amanda Thayer saw SW her phone number, gave her a phone number, and for play dates, first play dates 2 of 2017, friendship blossomed, talked every day and hung out. 3 out of 4 weekends. They became close, all 4 there. Chris, Nick, SW, and AT. SW sold L. Lavelle, sale from home, talked on phone, texted and in person, texted daily, phone and daily. AT used to live near SW in Frederick, moved back to Thornton in June 2018, so talked less. AT Amanda Thayer, busy with move and work, started at Goddard in March 2018. At AT Amanda Thayer saw SW once per month, CW and SW. Came over to house, did move in to park in Frederick in June. Oh, drive-in movie at the park. We know what that is. SW and oh God, I just thought about this for a second. This is me talking. These two probably used the events that were used by the builders to try to sell to people. These two probably used those events to sell to people too. So while the builders were hosting this as a place to try to grab buyers, these two probably used it as well to sneak in and crash it and try to sell their snake oil. You know it. I'm telling you, SW found a way to manipulate the manipulated and the manipulators. So then it says SV and CW. So SV and CW. I think he meant to do W. Went to South Dakota, 6/22 to South Dakota for a weekend, came home 6/25. SW's dad came into town, 6/28 of them. Oh, something W and whatever, and dad, all there to North Carolina. Well, that's right. As daddy flew out. Daddy was there, watched the kids for a weekend, and then daddy flew out because Shanann couldn't take the girls on a plane by herself because she's not a big girl. Got there August 4th or 5th. Last Thursday, 8/10, SW to Arizona. Got home Monday morning. Like I say, when you're sick, the last place you want to be is a metal tube in the frickin' sky. You know? When you're sick, you don't get in a plane. In fact, she was in a plane all the time, and she wasn't sick. She was just whining because she wasn't getting her way and didn't know how she could keep her lifestyle that she had faked. Anyway, just the facts. Just before I left. When SW left for NC, told AT she and Chris over the phone were very close. Like hands all over each other. Oh God, this same rhetoric. First week in NC, they had a lot of phone sex. God, why did everybody have to know every detail about Shanann? Why did she have to tell everybody everything? We're having phone sex all the time. It's so immature. SW also said there was something of Chris. Grandkids were over. Girls wanted ice cream. CC allergic. Okay for child of ice cream with peanuts. CC asked for some. Mom said no. Argument with Chris' mom about coddling CC. Threatened treatment of kids. You know what? Go, Cindy. You had a point. SW said, oh, hold on. Hold on. No, we're not done. Come back here. SW said Cece had a birthday party for North Carolina. Chris's mom and dad didn't come. Yeah, because you ran them out, you twat. Also didn't text SW or Chris either. Since then, Chris started to get distant from her. SW thought Chris' parents can't tell. When grandkids more, well, it must be loved the other grandkids more than Cece and Bella. Not a burden for them. Or the word is crossed out. It says a burden for them to talk to Cece and Bella. Chris' parents also didn't go to their wedding. Yeah, because you bullied them, you fucking twat. Chris, and then that weird symbol with a D, and I don't know if he's saying change too, like that triangle means change, because it says Chris, triangle, duh. So maybe the triangle means changed in FBI, like it does in nursing. Because it says Chris, triangle, D, SW, well, in SW, in North Carolina, crossed out word, SW, putting barrier between him and his dad. And I know that I could probably assume more of what these words are, but I don't want to put anything in there that isn't true, except for my occasional Watsing. And then AT, so Amanda Thayer, knew of one argument with Chris over time, but considered it normal at not so hateful when talking to Chris. Very bossy to Chris. Ooh. Whoa. What is this saying? This AT knew of one argument with Chris over time, but considered it normal. AT not so either says hypeful or respectful when talking to Chris. And it says very bossy to Chris. So Amanda and Nick must have been like rolling their eyes about these people, and they probably moved to get the hell away from them so you didn't have to spend 3 out of 4 weekends with them. AT's brother recently passed away. Yeah, and it's wrong that, I mean, this should have been Shanann supporting Amanda Thayer. Shanann should have been helping with Amanda Thayer's child. If this was a two-way friendship, it should have been Shanann offering to take Amanda Thayer's child so that Amanda could properly grieve and get ready to go and bury her brother. Not the other way around, and not turning it into, hey, the second that you touch back down, do you mind watching my girls for the weekend so that I can go and try and manipulate Christopher back into loving me and telling him that he has to because I wrote it on the back of my hand? God, so rude. What a rude friend. It's not. I mean, it's not a friend. That's an insult. But her friends that sold with her, because that's all it was, superficial people who sold with her, were conditioned to expect nothing from her. And so was Christopher. It's very sad. Very rude. I don't know how you could be that rude of a person and just expect everybody to give everything to you and do everything for you. I don't know. I just shake my head sometimes at this woman and the whole entire village that it took to get her through one day to the next when nothing was actually wrong, and she would just shut up and do her self a favor and be the friend that others are friends to her and just have a two-way conversation with others and just basically shut the fuck up and do your work. Because if you're the one staying at home and your husband is making all the money, you should be creating a happy home. Why would he want to come home to this misery and he can't ever act like he's having fun? So he's supposed to work all the time, and then if he's having fun, she gets mad? That's controlling insanity. That's insane. Well, she has all these pictures of her all happy and everything. It's insanity. One was freaking crazy. Anyway, AT was confronted. I don't know what that says, and I'm not going to. Because it says AT's brothers recently passed away. AT was comforting with SW. Yeah, of course. Amanda Thayer would have to comfort SW. Of course she would, because far be it that Amanda called her to say that she had a loss. So she was comforting her on Thursday of 8/9 at 7 a.m. That's where we know that then they called and Shan laid out the whole thing. Oh, what in the world? And asked to do a three-way call. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. Related to business, but it ended up not being about business, didn't it? AT is a Lavelle promoter under SW. Oh, AT was under SW, so she couldn't tell her to fuck off. Ooh, I see. So SW was just working on her the whole time when they were seeing each other. And then, okay. So yeah, this is exactly what it was, where it was way too much to text, blah, blah, blah. And I'm not going to go back into that because it's just so sad about what a terrible friend she was. To her friend in need. It's just mean. Because yeah, this is, okay, so this is what we've already read. Yeah. In Discovery, page 398. Now, here's something. And it says Facebook texted, Facebook messaged a friend, and then Kathy is checked off, and it says Cassandra Rosenberg. There we go. She hasn't heard. Cassandra and AT talked. In Kentucky, well above occurring. AT and Nick in Kentucky until Monday, 8/13. 9 through 8/13. Got home around 2:50. And then it's more talking to Chris at the rec center, blah, blah, blah. He has to hide if he's being happy, or she'll get upset with him. So more of this. So it's just all the handwriting that we've already seen. And are all at home. Okay, so then it says here Monday, so called AT, also a Lavelle rep, upset about SW disappearing, talking to the police, and you. Oh, here we go. Oh, God. Fat ass Nicole had to be in here again. Let me see here. Okay. Because it's all that we've seen, and then it says about Cassandra, and then it says AT in Kentucky well above occurring. So, well, everything else is occurring that we talked about. AT and Nick in Kentucky until Monday, blah, blah, blah. Got home around 2:50. And then it says AT, so Amanda Thayer last saw Chris on 7/4. Went to Thornton Rec Center at the fireworks by the park, blah, blah, blah. And they're the daughter, Emily, Amalie, Amali, and bro and sis-in-law. SW was in North Carolina. SW tried to FaceTime Chris. Service wasn't great. That something Chris mentioned. AT heard Nick over here, said he has to hide if he has any fun when she's not when she's out of town because it upsets her. And then it says he doesn't answer his phone, shower, or working out. She gets upset. So yes, like we've talked about, this ridiculous. Christopher cannot be happy. Christopher, you cannot be happy if I'm not around. Don't pay any attention to me laughing and screwing other men also named Chris at these things. As part of my work, I have to act happy, right? And it says Chris and SW would drive Lexus. Previously had an Explorer. Chris went to work in work truck. Worked at oil company in oil fields. Does maintenance. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Then SW never mentioned anything financial. Cassie called it 409. Talked. SW missing. Thoughts. Nicole, you talked at 4:17 p.m. Nicole called AT, also a Lavelle rep. In parentheses, thrivers. And this has been more handwriting. Upset about SW disappearing. And you talking to police. And you said SW's purse, car and phone, and girls' meds were all at home. And you knew about something. And you learned about. And you knew about something. Can that something, CW backing up his truck and heading to work, said CW has stuff in something for work. And you said Chris' story had changed. CW said SW was leaving with girls on a play date at 5:30 a.m. AT couldn't recall the other story. But yeah, she's saying that he changed the story, but she couldn't remember what the other story was. Big Fat Nicole also said that CW told Cassandra one thing and NU another thing, but she can't remember what other things. Okay. We do. AT and NT home, unpacking from trip. Both worried about CW. NT texted Chris. Doesn't say. To go see CW in 6 or 6:30 p.m. Arrived at CW. Asked what happened. Where is SW? What is known? Not known. And then that symbol, and it says phone blowing up. You know, all of their handwriting and stuff, and then is like typed up, a lot could be lost. And when it comes to words mattering, it's really scary that they're to this point still where they chicken scratch everything. I hope that they listen to their act on body cams, and those are typed up, because their handwriting is terrible. So is mine, not saying it isn't, but I'm not, determining somebody's guilt or innocence in their life or death. Now it says per CW, so would be what CW says. At door, inside house. CW said, and he said SW and he having problems and we're separating. AT and I said where was. Said equals 4 o'clock a.m. on morning. Got up for work. She sat up with him. She got up with him. He wanted to set it out and down with. Sard wanted a separation and wanted to sell house. They had been talking about selling house for weeks. SW didn't want to. AT. CW said things are really tight. Wanted smaller house. They didn't need the room. That house was the same like SW's house in North Carolina. Made her happy. Okay, off to the side. If you go to my recording of Queen of the Dirty South, the reason why SW had this big ass house in North Carolina is still a question. It is said that she wanted the house to be exactly like her boss, Hisham's. And Hisham was a man who had made something out of nothing. He created his own brand, his own business, and he worked hard for what he had, and he put the money into marketing and making himself what he was. She was an employee. And it is alleged that she was embezzling from him, to the effect that she had that $50,000 in cash in a suitcase and brought that to the people who would build a house exactly like Hisham's. Now, this was before SW had children. This was right after she divorced Leonard King and before she married Christopher Watts. She was a single woman, did not have kids, said that she could not have kids, and that was probably the only true statement she ever said, in that meaning literally she couldn't, because she couldn't care for them properly, because she just, motherhood and caring for somebody else and seeing somebody else happy is something that is not in her vernacular. So it is rumored that she was using that house as a brothel, for an old-fashioned word, a dungeon for the new age word, a house of ill repute to some, in which there are some in every American neighborhood. You wouldn't even believe what goes on next door. Okay? Anyway, she wanted what she wanted, and it was never about her family or what Christopher wanted or what Christopher could afford or what they could afford. She wanted what she wanted, and she was going to get it no matter how she got it. And the way she was going about getting it was she was borrowing from Peter to pay Paul, and then from Paul to pay Peter, to the fact that there was no money, to the fact that she was buying so much of the product that it was buying her the vacations and buying the house payment. I mean, the car payment. Whereas if she would have just made the car payment and sold more than she bought, she could have been successful, but she wasn't, and nobody is. The house always wins with an MLM. And she did bizarre things within her rank to make it look like she was successful. Sadly, people to this day believe that she was successful, no matter the fact that it has been proven over and again that she wasn't. Like a rough number, like I'm saying. Let's say that you have to sell $3,000 to be able to get your Lexus per month, that then they write off that $700. So instead of her actually selling that, she would buy that amount in product, so then it would make that payment. It doesn't make sense. And then let's say you needed to hit 6,000 so you could go on a vacation. She would buy that much in product so she could go on the free vacation. But then she had all that product. That's why there was over $25,000 worth of MLM product in her basement that was not sold. You are not supposed to buy to resell. You are not supposed to put family members on your downline. You are not supposed to do any number of the things that she did. She broke the rules because there's no rules that matter to SW ever. We know that. There never has been. There never will be. So, more of this handwriting. And it says, that she had a lot of clothes. Her clothes were crappy. I mean, it's not like, oh, she had Louis Vuitton. I wouldn't say that. But, sounds like they're saying she just buys a lot. And it gets her nails done. Yeah, how can you be a real mom changing real diapers, having acrylic nails the whole entire time? You can't. That's why she had Christopher doing the nightly thermometers and diaper care. Gross. Refer to my previous recordings on that. You see, so then SW was, I don't know, SW was emotional and crying, and CW said, got a call from NC at 11 or 12, or NU. NU had been trying to get a hold of SW, met at house but couldn't get in. CW then came over, saw NK and Rocky, NU, peeking in windows, trying to get in. CW appeared at door, NU let herself in, and started searching. Yeah, I mean, what was that when she ran past everybody, like, frickin' opened up the gates in the bullpen? Okay, so then there's just more of this handwriting. It's the same thing. I don't see anything. Okay. Let's see. And it, Amanda Thayer and her husband offered to go door to door. Well, the police had already done that. The police had canvassed that. And then it says, I want to clean up for when they come home. Yeah. And then AT Saturday, something said CW thought SW just left because she was angry. and with this little, how she even changed her name to be Shanann as opposed to Shannon, is because she does these little shenanigans, and oh, she's so funny, like embezzling shit and stealing from people and fucking everybody over. I mean, it would just be in her nature to do something like this, to just go and disappear and have everybody looking for her because it was all about attention. I don't think anybody, I think she cried wolf. I think she cried wolf a lot. And aggressively accusatory. Okay. At CW explained, interview went, said one guy interviewed him and said aggressively, what did you do with your children? Then went back to nice talk. Okay, so this is just talking about what he said, and so it's just more handwriting what he said to Amanda Thayer. Yeah. And then it says here, never any word about other women. SW speculated CW may be having an affair, but CW didn't have game. Yeah, like I said, he had a lot more game than you knew. And then AT left a message with a detective about SW's iWatch. Yeah, where is that iWatch? And then Nicholas Thayer. It says he is a what? A media director? A prep? For 12 and a half years? A media director? So he was in media? It says Eden Productions? So is that why he was able to craft that little recording of the garage and put it so daintily with that American Horror Story commercial with a fetus? Would a media director of 12 and a half years be able to do that? I think so. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Nick Thayer. I misspoke. I was thinking it was neighbor Nick. So Nick Thayer, okay. He's a media director. Media director? Prep, fence, orchard. Okay. High school diploma. Well, he did well with his high school diploma. And it says AT&T, blah, blah, blah. SW and AT set up a play date April 17th. Okay, this is going through that again. Oh my God. Just really repetitive. Very repetitive. Very repetitive. This about them being in June, July. And this is probably typed up again somewhere. Because we've seen this over and again. Same stuff, same stuff. Okay. CW said his money when wakes up for told her he wanted to. This is like repeat. CW didn't elaborate. CW said he'd talk. Yeah. He'd wait outside the kitchen table. CW said cops took her cell phone. Said neighbors, this has got to be all typed up. Okay. Texted CW, page 409. It's just more and more of this, it's going to be typewritten because I see these same words. Sorry, guys, this is just taking forever to get through the handwritten. I'm going through knowing that it's going to be written, typewritten. And it's important to go through. Okay, here we go. Because then this is where we have all of the notes, and it goes to 363 where it has the documents received. So it's showing what is all scanned, and it has the blue hyperlink. So this is the notes, and then there, and then where it's typewritten. And then here we go. Okay. .365 of 1960. And we are on Discovery, page 413. And let's see if this doesn't tie this up nicely in typewriting stuff. Because it's FBI 104. So it says from 8/14/2018 through 8/15/2018, SA, so Special Agent, Hoyland reached out to the various corporations listed below under an exigency exception as outlined by Colorado state law. The following information and records were obtained pursuant to the exigent request. Unless noted otherwise, the request for data went back to 8/12/18. And this is for the company Amazon. And it says account identifiers, Chris and Shanann Watts' personal emails, no device identifiers on Echo. Audio content captured by that device along with logs of activity on that device, identification numbers of the device, and any additional subscriber information. Yeah, where is all of that? Okay, so now this wants the very basic subscriber information. Why is that doing that? And then the Apple request one, Shanann Watts Apple Watch. Where is that? It says only had one MEI of iPhone paired to watch and email. ShanannKing@gmail.com. She never changed her email since she got remarried. So she had her Apple Watch from when she was married to Leonard King, when she'd been cheating around on Leonard King, when she was the real queen of the dirty South. Wow. And then remarried. That's interesting. Now, SHANANN. Shannon. Shanann. Okay. And then it says they device identifiers to include IMEI and cellular phone IP logs, account information for her Apple account tied to Shanann King at iCloud.com. So there's an iCloud as well. Follow up on request to this prompted by their suggestion was to provide all the pictures saved to her iCloud account over the past 5 days to scour for EXIF data. They promptly provided that. So geolocation information tied to his Apple Watch, subscriber and IP. So that's for Christopher's Apple Watch as well. And then the AT&T, his and her cell records, the 2 personal cell phones of theirs. And then item 6, company. Facebook, account identifier, Shanann Watts. Discovery page 418. So they want all requested information. requested all of this, and what they received all of the above except for GPS location history and accounts tied to devices used to log into her account. Said data was unavailable. Separately, a preservation letter was submitted for Chris's deactivated account tied to his phone number. And then item 7, Google to account, same request. And this was for Chris Lee Watts, ChrisLee Watts at gmail.com. And Shanann King at Gmail. So they wanted all of this. Now, item 9 is the company Verizon, request number 2. They wanted Nicole Kessinger's cell phone information from Verizon. They wanted Anadarko to provide GPS data related to the corporate vehicles, and to S.A. Hoyland's knowledge had been doing it without requiring any court order or without the future promise of one. S.A. Hoyland was not the individual who originally spoke to them, but began to be copied on emails with GPS data. Due to the sheer size of the relevant records received, it cannot be loaded electronically into Sentinel. A DVD of all files is physically maintained in an FD TAC 340. A copy of this disc was provided to the investigator Kathy Holscher of the Weld County District Attorney Office and Detective Dave Baumhower of the Frederick Police Department. Wow, look, Mama Roo, they can do these things, and you don't have to tell them how. Wow. Let me see here. Now we're at Discovery page 420, and if ever there was a good number to stop on, I think it's that. My arm is starting to cramp just a little bit, so I think we'll do that. We'll stop here, and we went from 369 or 319 to 369, and we went from Discovery 366 to 420. Get you some ganja. So, this was a little longer, but I think we covered a lot of ground. So thank you so much for hanging in here with me as I babble through all of the handwritten stuff. It really bothers me because I think that some really pertinent information could be lost in translation, literally, because of how the handwriting is. I hope that they listen to the recordings. I really do, because it just scares me of how much could be lost. And you look at, cases before technology and how much was lost by one or two words being, you can't read them, and somebody assumes something, or somebody's in a hurry and the wrong thing is done. So anyway, we're another day closer to our Christmas. I hope you guys are all warm and safe, and thank you for all of the love and prayers you guys have sent me. Like I said, I've had a hard week, but I know that you guys all have been so kind and sending me the love and prayers, and it makes a huge difference. Let me tell you, it really does. So without further ado, I will stop recording. Thank you so much for listening, and I will do some more of this soon. Thank you so much for listening to Chapter 13 of the Watts Discovery, narrated and somewhat commented on by Tabitha Jane. Goodbye.